So guys, I've looked at a couple of drones on this channel already, but today we're going to be looking at a drone that would represent a pretty substantial step up in quality and capabilities for myself for this channel. Today we are looking at, I believe this is pronounced TOMZON, the TOMZON P5G drone. You can see it's currently $169 on Amazon. Normal price is $199. There is a $40 coupon, which will make this thing very, very affordable. Hopefully, I get this video done while that pricing, that deal is still available. If it's not, sorry, $199 might be your price. At any rate, this thing does have a 4K camera. It does have GPS capabilities, and like I said, it's a pretty big step up from some of the other stuff from Holy Stone that I have already tested on this channel. With all that being said, let's jump into that unboxing experience. Alright guys, so here is the box for the TOMZON. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that name, but you can see what it is here, T-O-M-Z-O-N. This is the P5G 4K. Like I said, several different things on here to go over. We have auto return home, a low battery alarm. These are both good things to have. One button takeoff and landing, Wi-Fi control, so the range should be pretty decent. Heading hold mode, which is a feature that I almost never end up using. It actually just confuses me more than anything, but it's good to have. GPS positioning, that is a really, really good thing to have as well. Definitely gonna need to test that. Altitude hold mode, high, mid, low speeds, video recording and photo recording, of course, in 4K. So very, very cool stuff. Nothing else really on the box, but inside, this is a pretty nice feeling little carrying case. Let's pop this out. So here's the carrying case it comes in. Really doesn't look too bad. You have a handle on one side, a little front pouch to keep stuff in, a little loop there. You also have like backpack straps on it as well. Not too bad at all. Let's open this thing up. And inside, it looks like we're nicely packaged in foam. There's a lot to go over in this. All right, first thing, this looks like the controller here. We have a couple of Wi-Fi antenna and of course the layout for the controls. We'll go over that here in a minute. I'm gonna need 3 AAA batteries that I really hope that I have in the house somewhere. Let's take the controls off so that you can see this. This has a grip for your phone, so you can use your phone. I'm assuming there's an app. Use your phone as the screen to see what's going on. That's pretty typical. This looks to be a charging mechanism, and there are actually 2 of these. And that makes sense because there are 2 batteries. They both say 1,000 milliamp hours for their rated capacity. Looks like some extra propellers in there. Always good to have in case something goes wrong and you need to replace the ones that you have. Great to have some extras. And in here, this looks like some other repair pieces. I'm sure this is part of the drone as well that can be replaced. And this, of course, is the drone itself. It is relatively lightweight. That is where the battery is going to go in. I love that there are 2 batteries and 2 chargers because that means you can always have an extra battery sort of sitting there ready to hot swap in. You can see the 4K camera down here as well, and it should be relatively well stabilized. Can't wait to test that out. Structure here for it to land on. And it looks like maybe some LEDs, some lights that are going to be present here. Installing the battery is pretty simple. Should be just like that, and then pull it back out. Probably a little release clip there. Yep, pulls straight back out. This might be difficult to see, but there is your USB micro, which is where that's going to plug in to charge. Just like that, and then plug this into any USB receptacle, a charging brick or what have you, and that should begin charging. So at this point, what we can do is go ahead and get connected to this drone with the phone, with the application, and it's relatively simple, but I did run into some sort of strange issues, and I'll show you how I solved them. So they want you to download this app that's called FlyCam. You can see it there. You'll find it in the Play Store or the App Store. There's also a QR code in the instructions. And I would recommend getting that application installed first, and it might work well for you. For me, I was having a lot of problems. I kept disconnecting from the drone. It just did not want to work for me. So what I did is I installed a different application, Potensic Fly, because this drone, the P5G, if I'm remembering correctly, is a drone that is basically, as far as I can tell, a rebadge. So another company called Potensic sells what is apparently the exact same drone, and their application does not have any of the problems that the Fly application, the FlyCam application, I should say, was having on my device. I'll drop a link in the description to the Google Play Store of both of these apps. If you're having trouble with the FlyCam, try the Potensic one. It's probably going to work better for you. At that point, what you got to do is turn on the drone, and you'll do this by pressing this power button, which is actually on the battery pack. It's kind of interesting. So it's on now. And from there, you can go into your Wi-Fi settings because you have to actually directly connect to this device. So we're not going to add a network. That was the wrong thing. It should search here, and it should see the Wi-Fi network that this drone is creating here momentarily. There it is there, TOMZON, whatever. So we're gonna click on that and it's going to connect to it. Now, of course, while it's connected, you're probably gonna be using your LTE or your 5G connection for any sort of data because there's no data coming from this drone. At this point, you can launch the application. Now, the Flycam app and the Potensic app look almost identical, with the exception being the Potensic one actually does work for me. So I'm gonna launch this Potensic one. We're gonna click on start, and we should now be seeing the camera, the output of the camera on my phone. And as you can see here, it looks pretty decent. And as I move this thing around, you can see that the response time is pretty good. Like, this is a pretty solid 4K camera that is on here. So that's like the biggest step that we got to do, is getting that app set up and running. But there's a couple other things that we do need to do. So this button right over here on top of the little GPS thing, which by the way, the GPS is not correct. I do not live in the woods, but still whatever. So we're going to click on that and we're going to click on geomagnetic calibration. And it's going to kind of walk you through this. It's going to show you, hold your drone and rotate it twice horizontally. Again, there's a photo there that's going to show exactly what we are talking about. So I'm doing that, and I've done it twice horizontally now. Okay, so it recognized that. Now we're gonna hold it vertically, and we're going to rotate it twice vertically. Calibration is now finished. You're gonna wanna do that probably every time you fly the thing, just to make it fly a bit better. More stably, I should say. So the controls are relatively simple to use. You have two joysticks, which they feel okay. They're not the greatest joysticks in the world, but I mean, for something like this, they're gonna do the job just fine. You can see here the controls over here. This takes you up, down, turning left and right. And then this stick over here basically is like strafing. You're gonna imagine the drone is this joystick. It's gonna go forward, backwards, and then slide left and right. Whereas, like I said, these are turning you. You also have the ability to hit this switch over here and change left-hand throttle and right-hand throttle. So if you want to kind of invert these controls, so to speak, you can do that as well. Power on and off on this one. This button over here, a short press is for horizontal calibration, long press for geomagnetic calibration. This is something you can also trigger inside the app. Over here, long press is your one button takeoff and landing. Definitely very, very important thing to have. You can see here these back buttons. There's a short press to switch to headless mode, which is a mode where basically if you hit forward on this stick, it's always going to be forward relative to you. So if your drone is turned and now it's facing you and you hit forward, rather than flying towards you, it's going to fly forward away from you. So that may be something that's useful for some people. I personally don't love headless mode, but it's there as an option. You also have a short press for photo and a long press for video. There are also buttons up here on the shoulders. Long press to switch between GPS and non-GPS mode. Then over here, there's a one key hovering and a one key return button. You can see here, return is misspelled, fairly par for the course for things like this. We'll look at the back buttons here. You can see what we're talking about, and they are labeled, so you can kind of see exactly what they are meant to do. Overall, the controls, I think, are fine. So after getting everything set up on this thing yesterday, I took it out for its maiden voyage, which you should be seeing now, and I was quite pleasantly surprised and impressed with how easy this thing is to fly. Now, in this flight, I was still in beginner mode, which is something that you can actually turn off in the settings of the app. You can actually set how high and how far away you want to be allowed to go. So I was kind of reined in and with a slower flying speed, but even still with some wind up there at those higher elevations, definitely stuff I could feel. This drone was able to fight back against the stuff relatively well and was pretty darn easy to fly. I was also pretty impressed with the video quality. Compared to the Holy Stone drone that I reviewed a couple months back, the video quality on this thing is far, far better. And one of the things I wanted to be able to do, fly up and take pictures of storms rolling in. I think I'm going to be able to do that with this because managed to take a picture of the sky and the clouds without being totally blown out with no detail left to be resolved at all. But now what I need to do is take off the training wheels a little bit and head out into a more open area to really test this thing out. So like I said, we need to come out of beginner mode. So we're going to go into this and see this little toggle here. We're going to turn that off, and you can set your altitude limitation and your distance limitation. Hopefully I'm staying framed it relatively well. We're going to max both of these things out, and then we're going to fly way out there and see what that's like. hard to tell. But all the way out in the distance here, maybe you can see me waving, probably not. That is a good distance away. You can actually see it on the camera, just barely moving back and forth. That is a long distance. Let's see if we can go any further. So you can see there all the way up at that tower. That is where the drone currently is. That is a good distance away. So it's saying 222 meters at this point. So that would be not, I mean, technically it thinks it can actually go further than that. I guess I'm going to push it and try and go actually further.
I wish you could see where this drone is at.
You can just see that little speck out there.
Oh, my word. What if you, will it tell you if you're getting too far away?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I see some, is there a house up here? I see a barn or a house or something. Yeah, there's a street. Okay, this is about as far as I think I'm able to go, but this is almost 300 meters. And it's starting to get a little bit framey. So I'm going to turn the speed up, and we're going to try and come back home as quickly as I can. Oh, getting a little squirrely. And the controls are definitely getting a little erratic. So I would say this is about as far as you'd ever want to push it, because the controls are definitely getting a little bit weird at this distance. So what do I think about this thing overall? If we look at the listing here again, $152.99, but there's also potentially going to be a $40 coupon available. Hopefully that's still there when you're watching this video. For that price, this thing is an absolute no-brainer. It is really, really quite solid. The range is as advertised. I believe that they said they have written down here 985-foot control. Yeah, and that's about how far I was able to fly away with my phone remaining connected and my controller also remaining connected. That was very, very impressive. The video quality and the photo quality, I think, are reasonable for a drone of this price. It's not the most incredible thing I've ever seen, but it's pretty decent. It's got a decent carrying case, a bag to bring along with it. You have 2 batteries. They're saying 36 total minutes of flight, which I can definitely buy. Now, there are some weird things about this, right? So waypoint flight is something that I did have some issues getting to work correctly. You're going to need a really, really, really big open place to do a whole lot with that safely, in my opinion. It's hard for me to find places to do that out here in East Tennessee. The follow me mode, I couldn't get that to work at all. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I just couldn't figure out how to make that function. I hit the button, nothing would happen. The one key return mode, cool in theory, but as you see here, it says it will go straight up to a safe height and then fly back. Well, I've had some issues where flying to a safe height actually would have meant flying into an unsafe height. So I don't know. I wish it would stay a little bit lower, because it seems like it wants to go like really, really high in the air to a safe altitude. But again, unless you live way out, and look, if you live way out in the country and there's nothing up in the air, that's a great feature and that's going to work well. It's going to get up above the trees for sure, and that might be good for me in the area that I live in. Unless I'm in a specific area, I didn't find that to be all that useful. So it does have some rough edges, right? Some of the features just didn't work all that well for me, but the act of flying it was extremely easy. It was a very easy to fly, relatively easy to control drone. The range, almost 1,000 feet. I was really, really far away. It was like 300 meters away. I was all the way across this giant field to the adjacent road. That really impressed me. It managed to do that quite well. So again, for the right price, I think that there is a lot of fun to be had with this drone from TOMZON. Big shout out to TOMZON for sending this drone over for me to review. As always, no money exchanged hands for the production of this review, and they are watching my review at the exact same time as you are. If you want to purchase this thing, there's an affiliate link in the description down below that will help support the channel if you do indeed click it, and then buy anything else on Amazon. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.